The Benjamin Dixon Show is only possible with listener support. Go to www.patreon.com/The BPD Show.
Today is Thursday, December 9th, 2021, and the question still remains, will this government, will this country survive the weight of white supremacy? Will it survive the weight of its hypocrisy? Let's discuss all of these stories that build the case that perhaps the United States of America needs to look at the mirror before it looks at any other country. Let's begin with On the Clock with Georgia Ford.
Good morning. We take a look at what happened in court yesterday for the trial of Kim Potter, the officer who fatally shot Daunte Wright. Yesterday was opening statements, and the first witness to take the stand was Daunte's mother. It was an emotional day in court, to say the least. And we also heard from the officer, the original responding officer on this case who was being trained in on Potter. We got to hear why he decided to pull over Daunte in the first place, why he decided to arrest him. But before we get into that, let's take a listen to what Daunte's mother had to say when she was on the stand.
Police officer said that he had an air freshener hanging from his rearview mirror. So at that time I told him, I said, well, you should take it down. And he said he already did. And then he said that they were also asking about insurance information. And I told him to, when the police officer gets back to the window, to please hand him the phone so I could explain the insurance and give him my insurance policy that we haven't added it yet.
When you talked to your son, Daunte, how did he sound to you during that call?
He sounded nervous. I heard the police officer come back up to the window and he asked Daunte to step out of the vehicle. And Daunte asked, for what? Am I in trouble? And I heard the officer say, I need you to just put the phone down, step out of the vehicle, and I'll let you know as soon as you step out of the vehicle. And then at that time, I heard the phone either being placed on an object, whether it was, dropped on the floor or placed on the dash, I'm not sure, but I could hear the phone being put down. And then I heard the officer telling Daunte, no. And I heard Daunte say, no, I'm not. Don't. It sounded like he said, don't run. Daunte said, no, I'm not. And then I heard them say, somebody tell somebody to hang up the phone. Female answered the phone because it was FaceTime. She was screaming. And I was like, what's wrong? And she said that they shot him.
So very emotional, Ben, yesterday as I was live streaming the trial. It's hard to watch, at the end of the day for Kimberly Potter, she's on trial here, but outside of Katie's testimony, we heard Daunte Wright on trial. We heard the officer who testified after Katie start to talk about the residue of weed that he thought he saw in the vehicle. And they talked about this warrant that he had and all of these negative things about Daunte. But after you heard Katie testify, you can't deny that that was her baby. And even hearing her detail how he left that day and she was helping out with his son and had just put the baby to sleep and was telling Daunte, shh, you're going to don't wake. I just put him to sleep. Those moments that I think we can all relate to as parents. But, the difficult thing here is at this point, this trial could go either way.
Yeah, that's right, Georgia. And it's painful to listen to that mother have to recount the last moments of her son. And it's even more painful to realize that this system is adept and masters at putting the victims on trial. As you pointed out, there was more accusations against Daunte Wright, the victim, than there was evidence that shows what's happening here. And this is because this is how our system works, right? It is something that we're even here at a trial. There was so many years where we couldn't even get to the point of a trial. But now we see that we're in the era of trials. We're seeing exactly how this system protects itself. And one of the number one ways it protects itself is by vilifying the person who is dead. And we see this happening in the Daunte Wright story.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm also concerned about the jury instructions that have been published already, because one of them clearly states, and it's very odd the way that this specific piece of instruction has been separated from all the other instructions. It's one sentence on an entire sheet of paper published by the Hennepin County courts. And it says that just because someone has been involved in an accident doesn't mean that they've committed a crime. And so, it's not just about the testimony and the evidence. It's also about the instruction that the judge gives to the jury to interpret the law.
That's right. They're doing everything they can. The system is, we saw what happened in the Rittenhouse case. We saw how that judge went above and beyond to make way for Rittenhouse to be found not guilty. This system is doing everything it can to show white supremacy that it still reigns supreme in this country. And what better way to do that than to continuously tell it that it can get away with murder?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, my heart goes out to Katie Wright and the family. I do believe we'll hear from other relatives of Daunte throughout the trial. But yesterday we heard from Katie. We also heard from the officer who pulled over Daunte. And we are expecting that this trial is going to last between 1 to 2 weeks. So several more witnesses will take the stand, including the Brooklyn Center or former Brooklyn Center chief of police, who will be testifying on behalf of Kimberly Potter. And some of the things that the defense alluded to in opening statements was that the chief of police has said Kimberly Potter was justified in even using her gun, even though she claims that she thought she had her taser.
That's right.
The defense has already put that out there, that the chief of police will testify in that instance. He has trained his officers to use their gun. And so that's why, even though it'd be day 2 today, it's hard to say which way this trial will go.
That's right. And wow, just hearing you put it in that fashion really kind of contextualizes how far this system will go to protect it. To say that in an instance where the rest of the world can look at this and say, you shouldn't even pull out your taser. He shouldn't even have been pulled over for an air freshener. And now we've escalated to the argument coming from the defense is going to be that, well, she was justified in pulling her gun. These are the stakes. This is the hypocrisy, and this is the asymmetrical balance of Black life versus the value of this white supremacist system.
Well, and, for context, people who don't remember when this happened, Brooklyn Center is a suburb of Minneapolis, and Daunte Wright was fatally shot April 11th, halfway through the Derek Chauvin trial. Right. And so you had a community that was already traumatized by the murder of George Floyd, that was already the epicenter of this global movement for police accountability. And halfway through the trial, before a verdict of guilty could even be reached, we had another unarmed Black man killed by police. And so it was both devastating and re-traumatizing. And so now to be here less than a year later on this pursuit of justice and seeing the direction that it's going, we must truly ask ourselves, the world, quote unquote, changed after George Floyd, but what really has changed? That's right.
The brashness and the caucasity, if you would, their willingness to just say plain face that they have the right to kill us, that they have the right to come into our cities and create a dangerous scenario, bring or acquire an assault rifle and kill two people and still be found innocent. This is the only thing that has changed, is the boldness of the arguments being made in court. And I use boldness kind of tongue in cheek because it's the absurdity of the arguments to the good faith actor. We look at what's happening in these trials and we can't believe some of the things these defense attorneys are saying, yet and still it's working.
Yeah. Well, Ben, what story are you tracking this morning?
So in the state of Georgia, we are gearing up for a combative primary between David Perdue, former senator from the state of Georgia, against the sitting governor, Brian Kemp, in the upcoming gubernatorial race against Stacey Abrams. Now, normally in this case, you would not have a primary challenger in the incumbent's party. But because Donald Trump is Donald Trump, he waded into the election and he was still upset about Georgia going to Joe Biden. And so he refused to support Brian Kemp. Not only did he refuse to support Brian Kemp, he threw all of his support behind David Perdue, which is going to create a spectacular divide between the two factions of the Republican Party. I want us to take a listen, though, to the rhetoric that's coming from David Perdue already. Here's his announcement video, and listen very carefully how he frames the situation in the race against Stacey Abrams.
I'm David Perdue. I'm running for governor to make sure Stacey Abrams is never governor of Georgia. Make no mistake, Abrams will smile, lie, and cheat to transform Georgia into her radical vision of a state that would look more like California or New York. To fight back, we simply have to be united. Unfortunately, today, we are divided, and Brian Kemp and Brad Raffensperger are to blame. Look, I like Brian. This isn't personal. It's simple. He has failed all of us and cannot win in November. Instead of protecting our elections, he caved to Abrams and cost us 2 Senate seats, the Senate majority, and gave Joe Biden free rein. Think about how different it would be today if Kemp had fought Abrams first instead of fighting Trump. Kemp caved before the election, and the country is paying the price today. It's time for a change. If our governor was ever going to fight for us, wouldn't he have done it already? We face an unprecedented onslaught from the woke left in Georgia and across the country. We cannot keep giving in and caving in to their demands. We simply must fight back to protect Georgia. My bold vision for our state is very simple. Completely eliminate the state income tax. It's time. Make our cities and states safe again. Take charge of our schools. Put parents in charge, not the woke left. Fight Biden's overreaching mandates like Florida's doing, instead of caving to liberals in the city. And let me be very clear. Over my dead body will we ever give Stacey Abrams control of our elections again. Politicians will say these comments
over his dead body.
Wow.
Now, everything else that he said in that was already bad enough, but that was the key phrase. And in this year where these white supremacists are marching all across the country, where they are showing their fangs, they're showing how bigoted they are, I think that type of language has to be shunned and has to be relegated to the dregs of society. However, this is who Donald Trump wants to be the governor of the state of Georgia.
Of course it is. Of course it is. Well, let me just say that is the most pathetic campaign video I've ever seen. You know, what happened to the days when people ran on their own merit and their own good character? That's mean, he is running on the merit of choose me because they suck. Like, you're not saying because you're good. You're not saying because you have a proven track record that you're going to improve the quality of life for your constituents. You're not saying it's because you have experience in a specific industry and you know the interworkings. And so you can, from a legislative standpoint, work to make it work for everybody. You're not speaking to farmers. You're not speaking to the middle class. You're just saying that you're running so that Abrams doesn't get in.
Over his dead body, no less.
And so that's the thing about, and I think for me, why personally it's hard for me to be so politically engaged is because it's become more of entertainment. It's become more personal than it has about serving the people and doing good.
Yeah. Absolutely. And as you listen to Perdue, you hear he's only talking to one person. He only has one constituent here, and that's Donald Trump. He's talking about Brian Kemp and Roethlisberger, the Secretary of State, during the election, not certifying the election for Donald Trump, even though Donald Trump decidedly lost the state of Georgia. What David Perdue is doing is realigning himself from the establishment wing of the Republican Party, nicely centered into the Donald Trump wing of the Republican Party. And what we're going to see in this race is who's stronger, the establishment or Donald Trump?
Well, and I think what we'll also see is when Abrams wins, is Perdue really going to be dead? Because
okay, I wasn't ready for that one.
That sister, she has galvanized, she has mobilized, and I know that she has a strong team around her that's getting ready to strategize.
That's right.
Abrams has a track record of getting out there and working with the people in Georgia, and I think that she already has the list. You know, and when you start talking about political campaigns, she's already organized in Georgia.
That's right.
She flipped the state.
That's right.
Those were her contacts. Those were the doors that she knocked on that got out and voted. So, I mean, the foundation for her to win this is already there. And so for him to make a claim like that over my dead body, where's the intervention? You know, if there was a red flag for January 6th,
that's right.
Who would have intercepted or intervened? If you saw the sign that it was going to happen, people were threatening that they were going to do that. Right now, Perdue just made a threat.
That's right.
Over my dead body. Okay, so who's intervening? Is it the FBI? Is it the local police department, the sheriffs? Who is intervening to ensure that sister has protection throughout this governor race?
That's right. That's right. Well, one thing I know for sure, the Black community needs to step up and make sure that in addition to the security, I'm sure her team is going to mount up a hefty security apparatus. But I also think that we need to make sure that our sister is safe, because this is coming down to a race-based issue.
But Ben, it shouldn't be on us. It shouldn't be on us, because these people have shown us they will drive a car. They will send a 17-year-old across state lines with a rifle. And so we could be hurt in the process of trying to save her. This is where public safety should work for everybody. And he should be held accountable for the words that are coming out of his mouth. We shouldn't have to put our bodies on the line and sacrifice our own well-being and safety because he wants to be violent. He should be held accountable for that.
Yeah, Georgia, I hear you and I feel you. But the fact is that there's nobody there to hold them accountable. There's no adults in the room. There's nobody behind the scene who's going to step in and save us or protect us. The FBI is filled with white supremacists, the CIA, whatever organization, the military, the police force, most certainly. We could be calling somebody to come help us and they would be the person to shoot us. And so when I say Black folks, we do need to take care of ourselves, because we can't depend on this system. This system is designed to kill us. And so I do fear for any of our sisters. Cori Bush is facing, Ilhan Omar, all of them are facing this virulent bigotry that is not going to be checked by anybody, because there's nobody to check it, because the people who would be considered to be the adults in the room, they're the ones funding this type of bigotry, this type of dangerous rhetoric. They're sitting back, laughing all the way to the bank while people's lives are being endangered.
And Georgia, we have
and as a woman of color myself, I mean, that's the thing that's always looming in the back of your mind, right? Especially for me, going out, covering protests. And even just here recently, we had a car that drove through the protest, and the police department has said that they have the license plate number of the vehicle. They're not even calling the person to find out whether they were sober or to ask them any kind of questions. They're not even going to look on their Facebook page and see if they have, signs and symbols of being in a hate group. They're not even pursuing it at all because they said, the protest wasn't permitted.
Wow.
But, and so no crime had been committed. But you tell me, what is the definition of reckless driving? Because as a responsible, sober driver, if I see a group of people, I'm not hitting my accelerator, I'm hitting my brake. In fact, I'm probably going in reverse and turning around. I'm not driving towards a group of people.
That's right.
And so at minimum, reckless driving charges could have been brought forth. That's right. It's like you said, there is no one who's going to step up and hold white people accountable for their violence and their bigotry. Yeah. And it's to the point now, Ben, where it very well could be the root of the demise of our democracy.
That's right. That's right. And actually, it's funny you should say that. And we have a caller before we get to, it's funny you should say that. Jason Johnson from MSNBC said one time that the seeds of the destruction of our democracy were sown when they signed the Constitution, because they did not rectify the problem of slavery and white supremacy. And so we are seeing now with January 6th, we're seeing those seeds come to bear. We're seeing them come to fruition, right? This is something that has been a long-standing issue in this country. In fact, it was founded on this issue. And I believe we have Dee from Houston. Dee from Houston is on the line. Dee, what is on your mind?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Good morning.
Okay, good morning. I'm not gonna keep you long again. Today, well, two things. The story about the protesters, that's so disturbing, because that's some of the fundamentals of driving that you learn, that pedestrians have the right of way, and you're not supposed to do harm as you drive. So it's really sad that we don't have protection. But maybe our protesters need to start, dropping shards of glass and nails as they pass the street, so if a car tries to get them, the car can get damaged. I don't know. I don't know if we have to get crazy with it, but that's sad, that part. The reason why I initially thought was about Stacey Abrams, though. I was going to say that I think that she has to, well, hold on, let me go back. I am more concerned now that we see that the Democratic apparatus is supporting her, because sometimes she's left out there alone, even though she seems to always try to be, in their good graces. So I would like to see them actually support her, and for her to take the time to make many, different campaigns about what she's going to do for people to incentivize people to vote. Because as we see, we incentivize people to vote, and yet changes are slow for us. So I want her to be on the attack.
I hear that. Dee, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I need to see the kind of support thrown behind Stacey Abrams, especially because it not just the raw support from the party, but actual policies. Because support isn't just spending money and helping her run campaign ads on television, right? Support is allowing her to run on some policy issues, because the people need some substance. Like you said, Georgia, in that David Perdue clip, he did not say a single thing about what he was going to do for the people. And so we need to hear from Stacey Abrams all the things that she wants to do for the people.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Dee, thank you so much for calling this morning. And Ben, I know that we got to get ready to wrap things up. What can people expect coming up in the next hour?
Coming up, we're going to follow up more on the Ilhan Omar, Lauren Boebert story. It's just a never-ending stream of bigotry that's coming from the right that is going to a level of violence, Georgia, as you stated. We have to cover a little bit more of that. That's coming up in the next segment.
All right, we'll keep it here for that and more on The Benjamin Dixon Show.
can't hurt me. No, I ain't been right more than I've been wrong, and it still can't hurt me. No, it just can't hurt me. No. No, you just can't hurt me. No, you just can't hurt me. No, no, no. I know it's hard to be polite, and it's easy being petty. My mama used to tell me, gotta use you when he ready. Man, it's crazy how my brother said it could've been my cell. It's either prison or a grave, that's what everybody tell me. Man, life ain't a beach, it's a female dog. I'm staying 10 toes down, though I still might fall. Oh yeah, now I done came through, knocking pictures off you all. Cause loving people who persecute you, it's still a tough be a light up on my path and a lamp under my feet. I know my faith strong, but my flesh still kinda weak. When that victory be looking like the verge of defeat, and I feel that disrespect, help me turn my other cheek and say sticks and stones may break my bone, but your words can't hurt me. No, you just can't hurt me. No, I ain't been right more than I've been wrong, and it still can't hurt me. No, it just can't hurt me. No. No, you just can't hurt me. No, you just can't hurt me. No, no, no. No, you just can't hurt me. No, you just can't hurt me. No. See, it's hard to be polite. It's easy being petty. Mama used to tell me, gotta use you when you're ready. Cause I ain't working on my own timing. Ain't got no diamonds on me, but I stay shining. Yeah, yeah. They say the world would be a better place if we take out the hate. Stop all the hate right now. Yeah. Let's keep it real, it'd be better if we just subtract the fake. Yeah. So be a light up on my path and a lamp under my feet. I know my faith strong, but my flesh still kinda weak. When that victory be looking like the verge of defeat, and I feel that disrespect, help me turn my other cheek and say sticks and stones may break my bone, but your words can't hurt me. No, you just can't hurt me. No, I ain't been right more than I've been wrong, and it still can't hurt me. No, it just can't hurt me. No. No, you just can't hurt me. No, you just can't hurt me. No, no, no.
The Benjamin Dixon Show is only possible with listener support. Go to www.patreon.com/The BPD Show.
2021. We are DJ Exclusive Les today. It is his birthday and he's away celebrating. So happy birthday to DJ Exclusive. In the meantime, we still have stories, news, and politics to cover. I'm going to be joined by our producers in the background, David and Dwayne. Double D's is what we call them. Let's just jump right into the conversation of some very serious news. We've been following this drama, and I categorize it as drama because of the silliness and the pettiness of people like Lauren Boebert. But it's a very serious issue because of the ramifications of what she said and how she likened Ilhan Omar to be a terrorist. Now, we have this all in the backdrop of issues like January 6th, Kyle Rittenhouse, of all of the right-wing violence that we've seen across this country over the last couple of years. And to have a congresswoman to threaten the life, because whether it's a direct threat or not, it's an indirect threat because of the nature of her followers. Ayanna Pressley and Congresswoman from Boston and Hakeem Jeffries, Congressman from New York, they both chimed in on this issue. Let's take a listen into that clip.
We have heard the hate and credible threats that have been directed at Rep. Omar and her staff. Words have consequences. We must acknowledge that and respond with action. We've introduced this resolution today to do just that and to send a powerful message to every Muslim and every marginalized person who has ever questioned their place in this country or in the halls of power. We see you. You belong, you are powerful, and you deserve a life free from fear and filled with dignity and love. How we respond in moments like these will have a lasting impact, and history will remember us for it.
It is my expectation that Lauren Boebert is going to be held accountable. As Vice Chair Aguilar mentioned, it would be a constructive thing if my friends on the other side of the aisle would handle their own business in terms of the out-of-control members. But we haven't seen that level of accountability so far. At some point, I think the House as a whole is going to have to act.
It's their responsibility to deal with their people. But how we deal with addressing the fear that they have instilled in the Islam, with their Islamophobia and the rest, is something that hopefully we can do in a bipartisan way. But the responsibility is on them. And I just went through a wealth of substance here. I don't feel like talking about what the Republicans aren't doing or are doing about the disgraceful, unacceptable behavior of their members.
Now, I get the rhetoric and I get the approach that they're taking. They're trying to lay the culpability and the responsibility for the members, Lauren Boebert, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Matt Gaetz, the Ku Klux Klan committee. Nancy Pelosi and Hakeem Jeffries are doing their best to make sure that the Republican Party at large is held responsible for their village idiots. That said, Congress needs to act with the power that she has as the Speaker of the House, and with all of the other institutions and norms and protocols that they have there to address these types of issues. The thing is that we normally see this civility debate fall on the side of in favor of Republicans, right? Because this is what we're dealing with here. We're dealing with a level of incivility, and Republicans are able to get away with it, not just because they're Republicans, but because they're overwhelmingly white. Let's be sure the ability to get away with murder is a white privilege in this country. You have to be rich like OJ to experience that kind of luxury. Setting that aside, the fact of the matter is the civility argument. You have to understand there are rules in the institution of the House of Representatives to keep these congresspeople from behaving like this. But those rules are rarely brought to bear against conservatives. But we routinely see it being brought to bear on behalf of progressives. How often do we see progressives get lectured about everything that they do or tweet or say? And yet and still, we have members of the Republican Party who are able to get away with thinly veiled death threats. It's no surprise, because this is the nature of what this country is doing in this present moment. This country is starting to reassert the dominance, or attempting to reassert the dominance of white supremacy, because it fears that it's lost its grip. I want to take a listen into this next clip that's going to open it up, the conversation a little bit more. And I also want you to get in on the conversation. The phone numbers are tagged and pinned to the top of each of our chat rooms: Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, chat, Twitch, and all the likes. Call in to join the conversation. In this next clip, I want to talk about the way that this civility asymmetry really plays itself out in the long run. It is a truism. It is just a statement of fact that the Republican Party has a strategy. The conservative movement, more so than the party itself, the conservative movement has a strategy to ensure that white supremacy is never held accountable in this country. To accomplish that, they are making every one of their followers, every one of their constituents, terrified of words, keywords like critical race theory, keywords like white supremacy. And in the state of Wisconsin, they have now gone as far as to ban a list of words that should not be used that properly describe the nature of white supremacy. I want us to take a listen to this clip from the recount as they go down the list of the absurd words that are now being outlawed in the state of Wisconsin. Take a listen in.
WWTF. Wisconsin. What the f***? A Wisconsin legislator wants to go even further than banning the alleged teaching of critical race theory in the state's schools, which the Wisconsin Assembly passed in a party line vote on Tuesday. State Representative Chuck Whichgers, one of the authors of the bill, also attached an addendum, which includes a list of terms and concepts that would violate the bill if it became law. Among those words, woke, whiteness, white supremacy, structural bias, structural racism, systemic bias, and systemic racism. The bill would also bar abolitionist teaching, as well as concepts like equity, inclusivity, multiculturalism, and patriarchy, as well as social justice and cultural awareness. The measure would apply to both instruction provided to students in the classroom, as well as training provided to school employees. It's the latest escalation in the GOP culture war. The proposal has virtually no chance of becoming law, as if it lands on Democratic Governor Tony Evers' desk, a former superintendent of public instruction, it will almost certainly be vetoed.
About this, interesting. Good morning, David.
Good morning.
Here's an interesting thing about this. The thing that I like that bothers me about that recount coverage is the dismissal of the possibility of this becoming law because they currently have a Democratic governor. But you got to understand, Wisconsin is a different kind of state. They just got past Governor Scott Walker, the Republican, who all but destroyed the unions there in the state of Wisconsin. So it would be nothing for this test run, for this to be a trial balloon, where when a Republican like Scott Walker gets back into the governor's seat, they just bring this legislation back. And when they bring it back around again, David, nobody is going to be shocked. Nobody is going to be appalled by it because they've already run it this time, right? So they get the shock out of the way this time. And then when a Republican governor is in power, they're going to pass the legislation. What do you think, David, since you popped on the screen?
I think, good morning, everyone. This screams like I belong to the KKK, or I have allegiances to the Proud Boys. This just, this is like screaming it from the top of their lungs and just not holding back. It's not even coded at this point. And what's even more blatant in the earlier segment with Boebert is I just keep comparing it to what happened with Gozar and how quickly they moved on Gozar, but how, according to reports, Pelosi and I guess the establishment or leadership is more worried about Boebert being able to fundraise if she loses, which she's doing anyway. So I don't really understand, besides the fact that it's just Islamophobia versus racism, which
I don't know the reason to their madness in terms of which fights they decide to fight. But in this case, man, I really do know that the Democratic Party cannot be caught with its pants down. These folks aren't playing with us. They're making it very clear what they want to do all the way around the board. And not only in this instance with Ilhan Omar, Lauren Boebert, and in Wisconsin and the banning of certain words and phrases, but also with what's going on in the Supreme Court, what's going on across the school boards across this country. They're doing everything that they can to turn this country into a theocratic fascist state. And they're bold about it. They're proud of it. And I wonder oftentimes, we'll take this caller, I wonder oftentimes if the Democratic Party is willfully ignorant, or complicit, or all the above. We'll find out soon enough later on in this episode of America. That said, caller, Roller Dragon, you are live on the air. What's on your mind?
Oh, good morning, Ben. Good morning, David. How you doing?
Good morning, Roller Dragon.
Good morning. Good morning. Thanks for calling in. What's on your mind?
This is the first I've heard of the Wisconsin story. I had something else to say, and I had something else on the top of my head that I was going to talk about with the Boebert and her working on her tight 5-minute set over and over and over again.
That's it.
But, hey, that's just a performer of me. I can't help but see that she's trying out jokes and they're not working or they're landing. And she's working on making Matt the most racist-centric, concentrated hatred in comedy that she can. That's their game. They want to make it funny to laugh at hatred. When you can laugh at hatred, you no longer seem afraid. You seem secure in that hatred.
Come on, man.
It's a cycle. Now, the thing is that Boebert, with her record, and I refer to her as Bim Boebert. There is no other way. She is a bimbo. Every other assertion.
Well, just for the sake of cancellation, we will not have any patriarchal references on the show. But go ahead. Everything else, I'm with you. Go ahead.
Okay. Not a problem. No problem. Anyway, this being has a bit of a problem with her record because I didn't realize that you could have somebody connected to you on the sex offender list and be in Congress. That don't work. How's that work? What's going on with that? And she packs. She's strapped walking into Congress. Is she even vaccinated? Does she care? Has anybody checked? And then Nancy Pelosi is more worried about how much money this broad can pick up rather than if she's threatening members of Congress, sitting members in good standing that have more class in the tiniest hair on the edge of their brow than this woman and the entire GOP have in entirety.
Roller Dragon, you want to take my seat? Jeez, damn.
Hey, man, Roller Dragon, appreciate that, man. Appreciate that call.
No problem,
and I noticed the same thing, what you said at the top. She's practicing her type 5, right? She's trying to get that routine down. And as she does it, this is the thing about the right. The right is extremely patient with their burgeoning Padawan white supremacists. Because she really is pathetic. She really is pathetic, but they play. That's it. They play Roller Dragon. They know how to play the long game. And so they're going to invest their time in this individual.
1979 is when this version of the game began with Reagan's campaign officials and his vice president speaking with the Iranian High Council in Paris prior to the election, and they negotiated with them to hold the hostages until after the election so that Reagan could claim it. That's documented.
Roller Dragon, thank you so much for the call, I love it when we can spin stuff from from domestic politics to international relations. I appreciate the call.
Well, here's what I think, though. I wanted to answer a question. People have been asking, what is a roller? My name is actually Gabriel, but I go by Roller Dragon because I was attacked by the right during the Bernie Sanders campaign and lost my entire Google account. I had a banned account and the whole 9 yards. The roller is for the chair that I'm stuck in. I'm a disabled U.S. vet.
Oh, wow.
Roller Dragon, thank you for your service. Go ahead.
It's not a service, man. I got lied to as well. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, well, I felt that coming around the corner. I've known you long enough to know that was going to be a part of the conversation. Thanks so much again for the call. David, he's absolutely right, though, in terms of he said something there so critical. He said, when you can laugh at evil and hatred, when you can laugh at evil and you can laugh at hatred, you feel secure in that hatred as if that hatred won't come back and get you later. I thought that was actually pretty brilliant there and very, very true in this case. All right. David, you're on screen. You got nothing to say, man? You're not going to just be on screen.
Roller, he covered all the spots. I mean, it really is. It's just Wisconsin is not the only state in this country that's going to go for something like this.
That's right.
You're going to see a ripple effect, especially if it's not challenged, especially if it stands. I mean, Wisconsin wasn't the first state to smear CRT and push that line, which we know is BS, but it is what it is, and it's out there now. And I think that you're just going to, if Trump or DeSantis or whoever's running in 2024, this is all going to be part of that campaign. This is all going to be how they get that vote out while the left doesn't have a vote because everyone just is like pissed off and demoralized.
Fighting each other.
Yeah.
Yep. And I can guarantee you, if we look underneath this, I would venture to say that this legislation has the fingerprint of ALEC, the American Legislative Exchange Commission. And they have a track record of taking a piece of legislation, testing it out in one state. Once they're successful in one state, they spread it across the rest of the country. And again, Democrats keep getting caught with their pants down. And it's like, we know that this is their tactic. We know that this is what they do, and we've seen them do it, but yet and still Democrats are like, oh my God, I have no idea. What could they possibly be up to? They're trying to take over the world. The same thing they do every single day. The Republican Party and the conservative movement are doing everything they can to not only take over this country, but to take over the world for their theocratic fascism.
It's pinky in the brain. Sorry,
it is.
I couldn't help but to jump in there.
It is absolutely pinky in the brain, but less on the brains, more on the pinkies. What's this next clip, David? You set it up. It was Tucker Carlson, Jones.
Yeah, it's Tucker Carlson, and then just the ripple effect that he has. It's a.
Sorry, David. Salute to Roller Dragon. It's pinky and the bimbos.
No. Yeah. Let's.
Yeah,
I do want my show to push the edge and push the envelope, but we're not going to sit here and get canceled.
Well, talking about bimbos,
and it's even funnier because I'm laughing so hard, and I shouldn't be laughing. I'm going to get canceled for laughing so hard. Go ahead, David. Get us out of here, man.
Let's talk about male bimbos. How about that? Yeah, Tucker Carlson spoke on his daytime show because he's given an infinite amount of airtime with Nigel Farage, who was a British Parliament member, I think, and a party leader and Trump supporter. And they feel that COVID feminizes people.
I had never heard this argument that COVID-19 can feminize you, but let's listen to Nigel Farage and Tucker Carlson discuss that possibility. Or that
quality. Yes. We're going to go and climb that hill. And here's why we want to do it. And we invite you, the public, to come with us on that journey. Amen. That is leadership. And Boris, just with the best will in the world, doesn't have that. And we've seen more U-turns in policy from the Johnson government than I've seen in any government in my lifetime.
Yes.
And
in a very embarrassing way.
Oh, some of it's been shocking.
So somebody who knows him told me, and I should be initially getting your take on this, that getting COVID emasculated him. It changed him. It feminized him. It weakened him as a man. Do you think that's...
Well, I think he was very seriously ill.
Oh, for sure he was.
And I think... one of the things we have learned from COVID is people who are 50, 60, 70, 80 pounds overweight tend to have fared very badly.
Sure.
Now, we don't talk about it
much.
But
the virus itself, this is true, does tend to take away the life force in some people, I notice. I mean, it does feminize people. No one ever says that, but it's true.
Look, I think the virus did affect him, but I think, let's be honest about it, it's the new wife, isn't it? I mean, it's Carrie Johnson, or as she's now called, Carrie Antoinette, which the historians like. This is a very powerful, very strong woman.
What wife is this? Do we know? Or do we even keep count? I don't.
Well, that's.
Yeah, Ben. I saw those facial expressions.
There's a lot going on in this clip.
There's a lot, but. Go ahead. No,
because I want to. All right, I need people to understand who they're talking about. They're talking about Boris Johnson. He is the UK version of Donald Trump, especially with his hair. He always looks, but it's an act. He pretends to be this bumbling idiot, but he is a far right-wing ideologue who is carrying out the bidding of the right-wing reactionary movement on a global stage. This is who they are talking about. And what they're saying, Fox News and Nigel Farage, who was there in the UK and he was behind the Brexit movement, and then he got out of politics. He ruined the UK, and then he's like, I'm out, bitches. Then here he is saying that Boris Johnson is not radical enough. Folks, Boris Johnson is the equivalent of Donald Trump. And now we have Fox News putting up on the international stage Nigel Farage saying, oh, Boris Johnson, he's not even a man's man. he's been feminized because COVID-19 apparently feminizes you, and somehow the feminization of someone equates to weakness in this sick, absurd, patriarchal world. David.
Yeah, no, it seems like Tucker's really letting off something that he's been wanting to say for a really long time, and only says it in a coded way. If you're weak, you're not masculine. If you're,
which is why I want to kind of like rhetorically fight him, because is he really as strong rhetorically speaking as he likes to give off? Because the image that he's giving off here is like he's a dad bod, and he's not even a dad, is he? Is he a dad? Like what excuse does he have?
I think he has 2 kids, at least one, okay. Definitely one.
Tough guy, tough guy Tucker. This is what we're going to.
He definitely. Oh yeah, for sure.
Go ahead. What are you saying?
You could see him posing in the mirror at night.
And Nigel Farage. He's just the look at him on the screen.
Chuck Diesel said Mr. Bean can talk.
Isn't he the specimen of masculinity? Look at these 2 robust men. Don't they just make you feel nice and secure? Like if everything went to hell, these are the 2 guys you want to stand up on the screen with you. Man. David, what's going on with whiteness?
Okay, now take me off screen, Dwayne. Now, I denounce these white people. I don't know what planet they came from, besides for the planet of Alec and Reaganism on steroids. But this is just on another level.
David, I know you don't want to be held accountable for your people, but you got to understand, I can't let you off the case. Black folks are regularly held accountable.
These white people have an illness. These white people are, there's just, I don't know if they were dropped numerous times on their head as babies or what's going on.
I don't know, David. I don't know if I want to, because the journalist in me wants to ask a follow-up question.
You can follow up. I might say things that act doesn't approve.
I'm not going to make you any more accountable for the village idiots from the Caucasus Mountains than I would allow them to make us accountable, because we got some village idiots from around the way. That said, let's go to a break. I got nothing else for the beat. Oh, what you got?
Got another caller?
We have a caller.
Oh, who we got?
My man, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Oh, what's going on, y'all? This is Luke. Luke Kane from the Lotus Temple.
Luke Kane, what's going on?
I wasn't even
from the what? From the Lotus Temple?
Yes, sir. From the Black Lotus Temple.
What's on your mind?
But no, I wasn't even gonna call. But then I saw Lil Tuckums was talking crazy, and since Dr. Mack ain't here, I figured I was gonna have to get in his ass one time. So
let's go.
Tuckums. Lil Tuckums, I got 3 COVID shots of me right now, boy. And I'm about to say, how feminine do I sound to you? Not only that, but Lil Tuckums look like he about 3 seconds away from lactating in that ill-fitting dress shirt that he's wearing. And I'm still not convinced that him and Rachel Maddow ain't pulling a Hannah Montana. So they got the same haircut. But on a serious note,
he could produce.
I just want to say, like,
hey, pause it on the scene right here. Shout out to the Doctor Who fans, because Tucker looks like he could produce massive amounts of lactic fluids. My God, Luke Kane, why did you come on the show?
I think that really does frame it well, though. Like, no. I think that really
massive amounts of lactic fluid.
If you put them in a side by side, you can see like he might have some type of something that he does, some type of like chemical type of facial cream that he puts on to tighten it up a little bit before he goes on MSNBC, and then he like lets it back out when he goes across the hallway to Fox News. I don't know.
Which way my hands pointing?
In the same room.
Here is the specimen of white supremacy, ladies and gentlemen, non-gender conforming individuals. Tucker Carlson is a specimen of the white, masculine, the descendant of Alexander the Great, and he has enough milk supply to feed all the cows in South Georgia.
He's definitely compensating for something.
Let's go to break. Like it or not, it's going down after this.
Sunlight that always stays, dinner by the waterway. It's that sweet life. Raise your cross. Made some dude crack a smile. He asked if I could stay a while. I'm living that high life. Time to catch a flight, but you can make me go. Unlocking all the memories of my new home. Ventilated echoes playing to and fro. To and fro. Back and forth, yeah. Caught some kids dancing in the alleyway. Crazy how the melodies began to play, yeah. Tell me how you feel it when you hear the lyric, yeah. My heart's in Stockholm. Now I never wanna go home. I left my heart in Stockholm. Now I never wanna go home. Shopping together, I brought a girl on my Vespa. She said I already told ya, yeah, yeah. I never dated a black guy. I said you're brown yourself. Let me offer help. Come on inside. Where everybody knows your name. Everybody knows your name. Time to catch a flight, but you can make me go. Unlocking all the memories of my new home. Ventilated echoes playing to and fro. To and fro, back and forth, yeah. Caught some kids dancing in the alleyway. Crazy how the melodies began to play, yeah. Tell me how you feel it when you hear the lyric, yeah. My heart's in Stockholm. Now I never wanna go home. I left my heart in Stockholm. Now I never wanna go home. Separate again. Sunlight that always stays in and by the waterway. It's that sweet life, sweet life, sweet life. I never wanna go home, go home. I'm living in Stockholm, Stockholm. I never wanna go home, go home. Living in Stockholm, Stockholm. I never wanna go home, go home. I'm living in Stockholm, Stockholm. Yeah. Shut up, I got the bed, the bed. We got
Like It or Not with Benjamin Dixon starts now.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. I don't really like, why is it like that because Bubba's not here. But usually my head, when I'm turned this way, it's true to the thingy.
We're looking at each other, though. I'm looking at, it looks like I'm looking at you. You're looking at me. How you doing, sis?
Yeah. I'm good. I'm about to say we're good, me and my personalities, but I'm good. I am good on this morning. I don't know. I bit tired, tossing and turning last night. Yeah, but I'm good. No stories to tell. No stories to tell. No stories to tell.
Sound like
happy birthday to my best friend Lucretia in Orlando. I'm going to see her a little later, so happy birthday to her. She's the Jesus year.
The Jesus?
The Jesus year, 33. Everybody around me is turning 33, and I am still... everyone around me. And they was like, how are we moving on, Rebecca? And you're still 31. Like, how? Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, how does that work?
My daddy. So, long story short, here's the story. Long story short, when I was younger, they had no one to watch us. And I was really a smart kid. So they wanted to put me in school. Jonas was already in this program, and then I was there with him. But I was always usually I was a little fragile kid. So when they would have to come pick me up from school, they're like, damn, we got to drive all the way over there to get her, this and that. So my dad was like, she needs to be in school. Then my mother, we all moved to Haiti for a little bit. They left all my documents there. All my documents there. And so coming back, back in the day, it was just like, need your shots. Really, we don't really need much. Like, it was just like, just go get your shots and stuff. If my dad went in and was like, Rebecca's going to start school. I started school at 4. So my dad was like, we're just going to go and get her shots. But they're going to ask me for her Social Security. They did not ask for any of those things.
Wait a minute.
I started
Hang on. The way the story is developing, your father might catch a charge. I think you need to stop telling the story.
Well, I'm a grown woman now. So I was in school with I just turned 4. And I was in school with all like the 5-year-olds, 6-year-olds, same classes and stuff. And I had to go through it, though. My dad was like, tell them that you're 5. Tell them that you're 5. And I would have to say that I was 5 up until somewhere down the line, was it high school, I had to come clean. I had to get my permit. So they needed real information, and I had to come clean. And everybody was confused, like, so how you turn this age again? How?
So all your friends are 2 years older than you.
Yeah, but we all went to school together. We all in the same classes together.
I mean, it's not a big deal. I mean, a lot of kids, honestly, Jeremiah is 3 going on 50, so I might as well enroll him in college algebra at this point.
Yeah, that's exactly. Yeah, I was reading in like 3 languages. I was writing. I was, all of that. And they were just sick of me, like, getting sick because, again, I was fragile. So when I would be over there, like, really far in the daycare or whatever, they would be like, we can't keep picking this girl up. And my school was right behind the house. So my sister, was responsible if I got sick to take me home. So, yeah.
Well, I have no earthly idea how we got to that story.
Yeah, because it is a good one. It's crazy.
Well, we'll talk after the show. Let's get to the news.
Before we get to the news.
Yes. That's where I was going to go. Go ahead,
okay.
Set it up.
And this is for Luke Kane, Rachel Maddow, and Tucker Carlson. They do kind of look alike. They do look kind of similar. They got the same what B call it, the bang. They got the similar bang. Yeah.
Okay, so I'll say this before I talk about if they look alike or not, to see if that's part of my business, because that wasn't part of this show. But for the Benjamin Dixon part of it, what happened? What did I miss? What did Luke Kane say?
Well, Tucker Carlson was talking trash, saying that COVID feminizes men and makes them weaker. And Luke Kane called in and said, Tucker looks like he's about to lactate any minute now. The twin of Rachel Maddow. So that's kind of how it went down.
So why do you guys think Rachel Maddow, did we cancel her? I remember
No, he was just saying that Tucker Carlson is trying to be the big bad man talking about everything. And he, basically Rachel Maddow looks like she could whip his ass.
Oh, okay. That's what it was. See, now them looking alike, I can't agree. I know that lots of
why Rebecca got come in here and just mess up everything?
I know that lots of clear people it made it like we've seen them a time of 10 when we do see them. But I feel like they think the same thing about us, that they've seen us a time or 10.
No, Rebecca, they got some vibes. They got some kindred spirits going on in that photo.
I don't know, it's just giving me.
He just ate a few more cheeseburgers.
Now, his banging, I just don't like Tucker Carlson. Rachel Maddow, there have been times that I didn't like her either. But I really just don't like Tucker Carlson. It looks evil. He looks like he has a toupee on.
I was just about to say, I wouldn't be surprised if he's wearing a piece.
Because it looks like he has a piece to keep him young. And I don't know if he's really the age that he's even going by. I don't know. He doesn't, now that I'm looking at him, he gives me old man. He gives me trying to keep it shaved down to give that young vibe. He
can't even cover up the liver spots. Look at the liver spot on his cheek. He is old.
That's crazy.
And I don't even remember the bow tie days.
Yeah, the bow ties.
Like he gives me older man. Like he really does give me an older man that just finally made it somewhere, and now he has to continue with that hairstyle that he had back in maybe the 90s when he was in college and he was with the frat boys. Let that life go, Tucker. Let that life go, baby. We all have to let go sometime.
I want to play one clip. Let's do one bit of news before we chill, because I'm starting the weekend early. Press Secretary Jen Psaki got into a bit of a kerfuffle, if you would, when she was asked whether or not the United States should send out COVID tests to every person in the country. Her response didn't go over well. Let's take a listen in to Jen Psaki. I'm trying.
My bad, Ben. You caught me right as I was hanging up a call.
I was trying my best, Dwayne, to keep a straight face. What clip is it?
I got you.
Why not just make them free and give them out and have them available everywhere?
Should we just send one to every American?
Every Singapore household will be getting 6 COVID-19 self-test kits in the post starting tomorrow.
Everyone can now get free rapid COVID-19 tests twice a week.
To find out how your workplace can order free rapid tests, visit canada.ca/COVID workplace testing.
Kenyans continue to turn up for the free mass testing across Nairobi for COVID-19.
At this Aldi supermarket, they're displayed right by the checkout.
Mandatory tests for COVID-19 disease. They're free of charge.
Free coronavirus tests are offered at the nation's highway rest stops.
Should we just send one to every American?
Maybe.
Okay, shout out to the recount. I lost track. I didn't know all those flags, but it looks like Singapore. It looks like the UK. It looks like Canada, Japan, South Africa. All these nations are sending a free test to their people because they actually give a damn about their people. Meanwhile, Jen Psaki is like, should we send them to every American? Yes, you should. Rebecca.
She getting that Sarah Huckabee up her ass. She getting that Sean Spicer in the crevices. She getting that little blonde that I don't remember right before Trump left.
Beck and Annie.
She getting that bug. And I don't like that. I don't like that too much. Okay. I know you get that position and you start acting up. At first it was like, I was saying it's hard to have that position because you got to, take the brunt of a lot of what happens, when it comes to the president, vice president, anything with the White House, they're going to be asking you. So you have to be ready for it. You got to have thick skin. But my God, today, tomorrow, and the next, this ain't it. This ain't it, sweetie. She looks crazy. She looks crazy now. Now I put her in the crazy. Because, they start looking crazy. Their hair starts getting frazzled. She's giving me that right now. She's giving me should we give the Americans free tests? Like she's giving me, she's
where
shaking
do they do
up.
That at?
She's starting to she's giving me psycho. And I feel like her saying that is a representation of our leadership here. She is that already. I know people like to say, well, you know, she's just answering questions. I mean, she's a part of this administration, and I feel like there comes a time. Look at her. There comes a time, and shout out to the recount for that. It was great. But there comes a time that especially when we take these places, and her being a millennial, when we take these places, when we take these positions, I know.
She a millennial?
We got to pick and choose. Yeah, we got to pick and choose our battles. We really do. If we want to keep our jobs and we want to do that, yes, we do got to pick and choose. But this is the moment, baby. Everybody going to ride for you. You know, like, you know what? We should have some free tests for Americans. You know, maybe this is a conversation that can reach the president. You know, there are ways that we can say things. And I know that you may get in trouble or whatever, but we're going to have your back, sis, because these are positions and places that in 2021, we should not be a representation for anything that hurts America or bad. And I know that the many people who took the position of old girl, they've said things to benefit the people that they're protecting, which is the president and the White House. But right. I think at this point, like anybody who takes that stance, who takes this position, I feel like y'all got to start speaking up. I'm pretty sure, I don't know. I don't get that from her. I don't get that this is what she actually feels. I feel like this is ripping her apart. Look at her. I feel like she probably wants, you know, everybody to be vaccinated. But when you start hanging with people who don't give it, when you start going bipartisan, when you start have to speak in a bipartisan way, you don't really give a damn. Like at this point,
to everybody. Yeah,
it's ridiculous. Yes, Heffa. Yes.
Pretty simple. Yes, we should have been giving it to everybody last year, right? I mean, I don't know. I don't want to harp.
I mean, Omicron is in. You know, Omicron done hit our state. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like we wouldn't even be here. Everybody else ain't. We just the most. We the worst. America doesn't have it together when it comes to this. The pandemic, when it comes to this disease that's running rampant and creating new life forms, becoming new people, you know, got different personalities and stuff, cousins, friends, yeah, mutating, transforming, all of that. Now, we're the worst when it comes to that. We have been the worst with the audacity to open up, But for her to say that, like for us to have the audacity to even stand there and be like, I mean, it shouldn't even be free. Remember when these companies, we were trying to, while we throwing out little vials and stuff with the vaccine in it. Remember when people were throwing them out at the end of each day?
Oh, yeah.
And then turning around to say that other countries had to pay for it? Yep. And remember when India, that whole thing, and they're probably still going through it because media just thought, okay, we've covered them enough. But they were literally in line for long periods of time just to get one whiff of oxygen.
Carrying their loved ones, their deceased loved ones, on their mopeds because so many people were dead in India.
And we
yes, Jen Psaki, give a test to everybody, damn it.
She likes to do this. This is her thing. I'm starting to see this is her thing. She likes to mock. We saw what she said. They needed to look more into what was happening, even though the evidence is right before her. These are the things that I see. I don't like America. I don't even like, man, I don't want to talk about them. I'm getting upset because Joe Biden didn't do nothing that he said he was supposed to do.
Worse. It's about to get worse. You want it to get worse or you want to change and talk about some other stuff? Because we still haven't talked about the Supreme Court and Roe versus Wade. And then we got...
we can talk about
we never talked about Tristan. Did y'all talk about Tristan Thompson?
No, we haven't gotten to it. Take it to Tristan Thompson.
Okay, so when we talk about this, I want us to have a serious conversation about wearing protection, because there is a situation that is too much of a situation, and a lot of us be in situationships, boyfriends, girlfriends, them ships, they ships, whatever y'all want. Like, it doesn't matter who you're dating. Y'all need to be wrapping it up. It's crazy that this man, Tristan Thompson, is out here, and I get the drama about it is him being with the Kardashian sister, Khloe, and, you know, him sleeping around on her. I understand those things. I do. I understand that he's a basketball player. That's great. But this man is impregnating people a lot, and which means that he's not wearing protection with these people. I don't know why that is a thing. Y'all, if this is not your partner and you guys haven't agreed, you know, on things, if y'all haven't been tested, please don't sleep. I don't care how much money that man got. Disease is real. Men tend to be, and y'all need to go, and I know there's a lot of men, and I had to school one man to understand, y'all throwing people's vaginas off, y'all throwing people's pHs off, y'all literally in here, all of that, like getting them pregnant, getting other diseases. Men are like dormant carriers. They have things that don't affect them from having sex with multiple people, but will affect a woman. Y'all women, please pack it up in the purse. It don't matter. You could still find ways to take pictures of his credit card, scam that man in other ways. You don't need to be getting knocked up by these men because they got money. You're putting yourself in danger. You're putting your health in danger. And you men should not be sleeping with random people. I don't care if you're a superstar or not. Wrap that thing up. Unless you guys have come to an agreement and maybe, you know, have definitely looked at each other's test results, gotten tested together. It's cute. Make it a date. Do something like that. But y'all need to be protecting yourself. That's the big picture that I get from this whole thing. We are not having that conversation enough. It's not about
freeze it there, that the B-roll. And Rebecca, you might want to, sorry to interrupt. I was just going to say, not everyone might be up to date on everything. So might want to just explain the situation.
Well, that situation I really don't care about, but he knocked somebody up outside of, his relationship with Khloe Kardashian. And he actually presented a gag order for her not to have a conversation, her being the woman that he allegedly knocked up. And as we know, the history between Tristan Thompson and Khloe Kardashian is that them two have been in relationships. He cheated on her, had a baby with someone else, been with his ex as well, who he impregnated again. It's been back and forth, and it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I don't know. I don't really want to talk about what he's doing, his baby mamas, the money that he's getting, given, whatever. I really want to talk about y'all need to be wrapping it up. Y'all need to be wrapping it up. I don't know why y'all really out here having sex with no protection. This is crazy. Like, y'all, and it's a pandemic. What are we doing? Scam that man another way. Scam him another way. And that's where I'm at with it.
On the screen, I guess, David, is this a text message from him to?
This was, and it was just for context. We don't have to read the whole thing, but
TMZ. This is a text message from Tristan about, it's on the screen, so I'm going to read it. You know how I feel. This is to his baby mama. You know how I feel. My feelings haven't changed. Shit, if I know.
Marilee Nichols, the one that just gave birth.
You know how I feel. My feelings haven't changed at all. Won't be involved at all. By the way, you think having this baby is going to make you some money. It's completely wrong. You are aware that I'm retiring after the season. So in terms of support, it would be whatever is required monthly for someone who is unemployed. It's Texas. So it will be only a couple $100. So you're better off taking the $75,000 I'm offering because you won't get nothing near that with a kid having a father who's unemployed. All you will have is a baby with a father who has zero involvement with the child and a few $100s of child support a month. Yeah. All right. Well, wrap it up so y'all don't have to run into these kind of situations.
Y'all don't have to do these situations at all. Like, and the fact that he's telling her to be quiet at this point, I'm like, you got to deal with all of this. Babies are a blessing. If you choose to have them, whatever. But this ain't it. I just feel like this idea, and I see this conversation a lot, and it's funny because, I've been in relationships. I've been knocked up. There's been a lot that happened in my life, but there are a lot of learning lessons too that we should have, especially at this. He's constantly doing this, right? He's constantly doing this. This is back to back to back. And this has become some kind of lifestyle, and I've seen the conversations online where people are like, ooh, skin to skin is just better. When I meet her, I'm just gonna da-da-da-da. They're just talking about random people that they're meeting from Tinder, from these online relationships that they're creating, and it's nothing about wrapping it up. I can't understand how y'all not wrapping it up. There's so many things besides, these major diseases that you can get, like I said, that knock off your vajayjay 10 times. These women is giving men all kinds of stuff as well. Y'all need to be wrapping it up. Please, safe sex is the best sex. Until y'all figure out y'all want to be in that way together. Like, come on. Over here on Like It or Not, we promote safe sex. Sex is great. We're promoting safe sex. Okay?
Speaking of safe sex, wrapping it up, and we also support vasectomies. I think the government should be giving out free vasectomies to all sex age having young men. It's like somebody's at my door, and I'm about to have to check out who that is in a second. I want to run this next segment dealing with the Supreme Court, though, right? Because in this case where you have, everybody's going to have their own opinion as to pro-life, pro-choice, right? And everybody has the right to have their nuanced opinion. But there's a lot of circumstances where y'all shouldn't be bringing babies into this planet. I'm just going to keep it 100. And now we're in a situation where the Supreme Court is actively doing what they can. We're going to see, I believe, a pushback, a repeal of Roe versus Wade in a couple of weeks here. So this first clip is Chief Justice Roberts suggesting a limit of 15 weeks on abortions. And this, we're not just talking about one state. We saw Texas do what they did, right? When we're talking about the Supreme Court, we're talking about them having the impact on the entire nation, controlling a woman's right to choose and have the autonomy to determine whether or not she's going to bring a child into this world, all things considered. Let's take a look at this clip.
I'd like to focus on the 15-week ban because that's not a dramatic departure from viability. It is the standard that the vast majority of other countries have. When you get to the viability standard, we share that standard with the People's Republic of China and North Korea. And I don't think you have to be in favor of looking to international law to set our constitutional standards to be concerned if those are share that particular time period.
I think there's two questions there, Your Honor, if I may. First, that is not correct about international law. In fact, the majority of countries that permit legal access to abortion allow access right up until viability, even if they have nominal lines earlier. So, for example, Canada, Great Britain, and most of Europe allows access to abortion right up until viability, and it also doesn't have the same barriers in place.
What do you mean, even if they have nominal lines earlier?
Some countries, Your Honor, have a nominal line of 12 weeks or 18 weeks, but they permit legal access to abortion after that point for broad social reasons, health reasons, socioeconomic reasons. So their regimes really aren't comparable, and they also don't have the same types of barriers that we have here.
Clip is of Justice Sonia Sotomayor, and she is speaking, saying the following: will this institution survive the stench that this creates in the public perception that the Constitution and its reading are just political acts? And she's talking very directly about the political move right now that's been in play for decades by conservatives to stop a woman's right to choose. Let's take a listen into Justice Sotomayor.
It's bodily autonomy, right? The right to control my body. The right to not be forced to have a child and all that comes with that, the dangers of childbirth, the taking care of a child, all those things, those are burdens on women, and only women have to suffer them. And so it seems, like we should be able to choose whether or not we want to have a child or not. And it would be great if we didn't have to be forced to have sex, and that happens a lot too. I bet you 1 in 3 of these women have been raped. I have been raped. If I'd gotten pregnant in that, imagine being forced to have the baby. So, yeah, these are important issues.
We're here once again at the Supreme Court to to protect abortion rights. And we're not going to let those anti-choice state legislators take away our rights and our freedom. It's our freedom that's at stake. This case is the first time in 50 years that the court is hearing a case that directly challenges Roe versus Wade. I am one of the 1 in 4 women who have had an abortion. I remember when abortion was criminalized before Roe versus Wade. But you know what? I survived. Many women did not survive, especially Black women. And so I know personally how devastating the consequences of restrictive abortion laws can be.
Rebecca, I want you to get in there, but that correction, that clip that we just listened to was from ACT TV. It was Representative Barbara Lee speaking at a protest outside of the Supreme Court, and then there were some other activists there as well. But we have more, but I want you to jump in there.
Really, all I have to say about this is just I don't know why we're still here fighting over our own bodies and what we can do and what we can't do with them. Abortion doesn't only come because we're out here just being reckless. There's a lot of reasons why people have abortions. Know that we can't afford to take care of the kid. Know that we're not in a place to have a child. Know that we're not ready to have a child. Rape. Know that if we go long-term or full-term with the pregnancy, this may take our lives. There's so many different reasons, but when people hear abortion, the ultimate that they think of is that you are taking a life. And she said something, and I was looking around, especially at these types of rallies, and I usually see in these abortion advocate rallies or in these types of things, like I'll see them in the front protesting in the front of Planned Parenthood, right? And they'll be there with all their signs, and they're usually mostly white. But we are a part of the struggle too. But I say this because when people are talking about protecting this, we only see the images through media when they're white women, but Black women are going through this every day, and we know this. And at times they don't even have the capabilities to go into somewhere and ask to have these, I need an abortion, or can I be checked out for these such and such reasons or whatever. They're a part of the conversation too. They're a part of the fight, especially the Black women. And I think that, this affects us as a whole. But when we have these conversations, people don't be ready for that. They don't be ready to hear that from people like me to say, hey, I too have been a part of, I've been somebody who got an abortion for my own, reasons. And people don't be ready to hear that conversation. My views too, after abortion, have changed from what they used to be. And they've also, it's just like, it's so many different things, but I understand why people get abortions now. But I also understand, why people would want to keep the baby but can't because they ain't got money to take care of the baby.
That's it.
They ain't got money to take care of the baby. And then they'll tell you, hey, you better keep that baby because this is what law is telling you to do, essentially. And, you better keep that child. And when you do have the child, who's helping you with the kid? Now they got you on these programs that are limited, and you got to be on these programs with asterisks. Like, here, you can have this, but you got to live in this type of environment. Now you're raising a child in a type of environment that you didn't even choose to. If you were raped, there's a reminder of your rape when they're forcing you to have this baby. The pain that you have to go through. If there's health issues, they're trying to save, all these dollars is going into trying to get you to have this baby, money that you ain't probably got. And, you end up possibly losing your life. It's just so many things that go into this, but I don't understand why there's no rulings over a man's
Come on.
But ain't no rulings over a man's penis or privates. But there's so much when it comes to a woman's body. There is so much law and order when it comes to a woman's choice and her body. And the people who are sitting at the table are usually white men making that choice for us.
That's it.
For calls.
And no, they don't regulate men's bodies. Free vasectomies for everyone, for every man who is of a certain age. Let's take this first caller. Laura Estrada, we have you on the line. What's going on?
Good morning, Ben and Becca.
Good morning.
Good morning.
It would be good morning, but Rebecca got me all fired up. I've been on hold thinking, what I wanted to talk about. And originally it was regarding Roe versus Wade. And now I'm back on that. Honestly, as a woman right now, I don't think I've ever felt such anxiety. And I don't think in my whole lifetime, because, coming up, I knew that I had the right to choose already, that like Roe versus Wade was a case that was dealt with, and I didn't have to worry about that. And I've changed my views too. I came from a evangelical background where, abortion was wrong. And during that time, I had a best friend who actually had to go through abortion at 15, and everything changed. And I realize now, you realize that Planned Parenthood is for people who don't have the option. And just the thought that there's these young women out there that have to, it's sad to say, but have to do those back alley abortions, that there's going to be more dead fetuses, sorry to be so graphic, when you take away this right. And that a man talks on the behalf of my reproductive organs, it will never, ever not be so hurtful and be so misogynistic. And that there's women out there that are, religious wise or how they feel that go along with this. Because we all know, Becca, that when you go to get an abortion, it's not the way people view it. It is nothing like the way it is. That women have to go in there and make this life decision a lot of times by themselves without any support. That people have no clue what we go through as women. And to have this conversation happening again, I feel like, will I die peacefully knowing that my beautiful fellow women will have that right again? I can't believe we're even talking about this.
I know.
Sorry, I got emotional. Sorry, I cried. It's a very,
girl, you almost
very
had me about to shed a few tears, because I go back to that moment. People think this is something that we get up and just say it's so easy, but like you said, there are a lot of emotions that go into this, but we are thinking about what's good for us and what's best for us. It's still our choice, but the fact that they take it away from us. So imagine going through all of those emotions at one time and not knowing what to do. So I felt that in that moment. I understand, Mama. I get it.
I get it. So we have to fight. Something we need to fight for, guys. Please. We cannot let this happen. We can't. So thank you. Join Patreon, the best place ever. Love you both. Have a good day, guys.
Love you more, Laura. We appreciate that. We appreciate that. It is a fight. We have quite a few callers on the line, so let's keep it rolling. Next caller, you are on the air. What is your name, comment, and or question? We have quite a few callers on the line, so let's keep it rolling. Next caller, you're live. We can hear you listening in the background. Your mic is open. What's your name, comment, and or question?
Why do I keep getting dark in here?
Is Latino my full name?
Yeah, this is you. What's going on?
Yes. When we discuss the issue of abortion rights or reproductive rights, we have to look at it as both an attack on our personal autonomy and attack on our religious freedom and an attack on our medical freedom. And I think when people say they're quote unquote pro-life, we need to throw it back at them and say, why are you for state-coerced pregnancies?
No, I dig it. And go ahead.
Yeah. And using weaponizing the state to force women to have pregnancies is a form of mass sexual assault.
I don't disagree at all, man. I agree. I like And then to turn it back on them, all these people who say they're pro-life, Rebecca, and then they turn around and they create the conditions that force people to have to get an abortion in the first place. If you look at the stats, a lot of families, because two things. I love what you said, Rebecca, because it's not just reckless people out there having abortions. There are a lot of married couples that sit down and make this decision because they simply cannot afford another child.
That's actually the majority of people who get abortions.
That's right. That's exactly right. And so now you have all of these politicians who create these conditions that got everybody living paycheck to paycheck. Can't nobody have any savings, barely got health insurance if you have any at all. And then look at us and say, why did you want to have an abortion? Well, because we live in a system that won't let us get ahead if we try.
Mm-hmm. Yes, the Republicans claim that they want to stop abortions, yet they create the economic and social conditions which force people into positions where they need to consider having abortions.
That's it. You said it perfectly. Thanks so much for the call, my friend. I want to move on to the next caller with the time that we have left. Next caller, you are live on the air. What is your name, comment, and or question? I want to move on to the next caller.
Good morning, guys.
Live.
How are you today?
Doing great.
Good.
How's
How
it
are
going?
you?
Good morning. Good. I'm calling. My name is John, and I'm calling about the topic you guys are on right now. This shit makes me so angry. I can't even understand where we are in society anymore. How everybody is not able to. I'm so angry about so many things. This is one of them. We don't exist without women. Women are everything. They make the world go round. Whether we want to admit it or not, as a man, you got to be able to have enough of an ability to look within yourself to say that my eyes aren't lying to me. I see what I see. And women are attacked every single day. They can't make decisions for themselves. Their health, they're this, they're that, they're whiny, they're cranky. It's BS, okay? I'm getting to the point, I'm watching these pictures of all these wonderful women sitting down, advocating for a right they shouldn't even have to be doing.
That's right. That's right.
And at the same time, it makes me angry because to me, as a liberal, I feel that we sit on the sidelines for too long thinking that if we just sit still and we bring this all around and bring it all together, that we'll get this done. I'm starting to feel more and more as an older white man that the unfair way that everything is played against every person in this world, except what apparently appears to be us white men. We can call the shots with whatever we want, and apparently we're the ones up on the Senate floor and all that stuff making those decisions for all the women in the world. But at the end of the day, I'm starting to feel like I'm having conversations with other friends, and that as liberals, we tend not to be someone that wants to push any type of heavy movement or show strength and power or even anger. And at the end of the day, to me, women, if this were to go through, if women were to stop doing everything they were doing and get out into the streets and march and bring the entire country to a halt, working-wise, everything, a mass walkout, there's not enough understanding that even if we are liberals and we don't choose to go in a way of violence or hatred or anger, that we have to still be willing to face that force somehow and be able to bring ourselves back from the brink. and say, we're turning this on right now because what needs to be brought to fight the fight that's being brought to us. But that we have the ability to then step back and become ourselves again. Women need to be able to have the ability to choose everything in their life. We don't exist without you, but you have more power than you understand. Sometimes I even think as a man saying that. You could bring the whole country to a halt. You can make them listen to everything that needs to be said. It's all about dollars and cents.
Yep.
Somewhere somebody is making money off of making sure women can't make their decision to choose. That's my belief. So if women could get together and they stand and they can shut this country down, but they have to come out in force from every corner of the country. Bring it to a standstill, a labor shutdown, whatever. But they're not going to listen until we hit them in their pockets. And it's an embarrassing thing to say because we're talking about women's health. But it all comes back to money.
Yep, I agree, definitely,
and my
John.
feeling is...
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I'm ranting. It's just...
No, you're not, but this is good stuff.
I'm angry. It's just... It's. No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I'm ranting. It's just... No, you're not, but this is good stuff.
We're getting some feedback, John.
We're getting some feedback there, John.
Yeah. So Rebecca, if you might want to pick it up from there.
All right. Yeah, thank you so much, John, for that call. But he made a lot of valid points. And I want to be clear for those of you who are in the comment section. It's not, I know the idea is that parents, when Ben had brought up the, that there are parents that can't afford to have kids. It wasn't only Ben, it was Latin, whoever that was. I forgot, but right before John had brought up the point, there are people who get together and they just can't afford to have the baby. It's not that people are just lying down together and being like, oh, I'm going to get pregnant. Maybe at that time when they decided they can have the baby, thinking about having the baby, they were going there. But then life happens. Life happens and you no longer can be able to bring a child into the world. You're looking at the different options you can do and what works for you. At the end of the day, as John was saying, this is where we got to hit people in their pockets just to get, stop taking control of women's bodies. We should not have to be, it is an emotional thing as well. Speaking with Laura, where, for people who have experienced this or know somebody who's gone through it, this is the fact for me that that country really has control over what we can do with our bodies as women when we already are limited to so much as women in this world. It's like, it sucks when white men can just move freely and make these decisions for us. It sucks. We have to start hitting them where it hurts. We don't know when the change is going to come, or how soon or whatever. We see that these states like Texas and everyone else are following suit by banning abortions for certain time frames and having to take it to court and all of this. It's too much just for telling people what to do with their bodies, women specifically, what to do with their bodies. This conversation can go on and can go in many directions. But for me, it just ends up being, it's none of your business. Let a woman's body and let that be her business, what she wants to do. A lot of the people that they think are having these don't even have access to abortions, like I was saying. Black women need to be a part of this conversation a little more, as we've seen here. They need to be a part of this conversation. We need to hear their takes on this as well, because it's been limited for them. And there are times where there is like a backyard situation happening, where they're having these abortions, which are risking their lives and their health because they can't get the proper care or get the proper procedures done. and so a lot of women are having these, mostly white women are having them in secret and being able to move on. But they are also the ones that are standing and saying that they are, anti-abortion. So it's like, it's because their partners are the ones sitting in these seats making the laws for us and who have vaginas. It don't make no damn sense. It don't make no damn sense. I am at a point where every time I hear this conversation come up and every time I feel like we've gone in a forward movement when it comes to the freedoms and the rights for our bodies, just like that is taken away from us. Just like that. And I don't know. We'll see how this goes. We can't put this one to rest. We can't say, okay, we'll get back to abortion laws and we'll get back to the rights for women's bodies. We got to keep continuing the fight. And it sucks because it feels like, it's not feels like, it is another thing that we have to add to our agenda that we're already fighting. When we're fighting for our lives every day, we're fighting just to be able to make livable wages. We're fighting every day to be included, as minorities. We're fighting every day for people to recognize that just because my sexuality is this, doesn't mean that I can't be somebody who works for you or somebody who is nice or whatever. We're fighting every day for all these other things and how to be people, fighting every day for people to recognize, hey, me being black is not an issue and my life matters. It's so many fights that we already have to go through. And I know me saying not to give up on this particular fight, it is stressful. It's just something else to add. But guys, I was thinking the other day, I know you said 2 more callers. We got 10 more minutes. We'll take them in a second. But I was thinking the other day, and I'm like, damn, so much fighting that we have to do. I almost want to give up every day. I do. There are times where I just be like, I don't want to do this anymore. And there is going to be a time, I'm going to tell you right now, where I ain't going to do it anymore because I have to be able to live my life where I'm not fighting every day on the forefront and I'm not living my life. That's what it honestly feels like. But right now, there are days I just feel like, damn, I don't see any change. I don't see anything happening. I don't feel anything happening. And maybe these are seeds that we're just planting that'll grow into something bigger in the future, because I can assure you that my ancestors did not dream, probably couldn't even fathom me having a home or an apartment with AC and bills paid, and being able to have conversations with multicultural conversations with a mix of people from all walks of life about Black issues, women's issues. So maybe we're just planting these seeds for now, and maybe they'll grow. Who's on the line? Caller, you are on the line. What is your name, comment, and or question?
Yeah, you're on the mic with Mike again.
Hey, Mike. So you back on. I'm on the mic with Mike. How are you?
I'm all right. I see you on that train today.
Yeah. I'm definitely on that train today. So what's your...
Well, I got another question for you. Okay, so I've been hearing about the abortion issue again. Let me go ahead and just say I'm not really too much with the abortion thing, but I feel like it's a woman's choice to do what she needs to do. Mm-hmm. When do we start thinking about the fact that us as basically as Americans, we're making a whole lot of criminals right now?
What do you mean by we're making a whole lot of criminals?
We're making a whole bunch of criminals by basically just making women have kids that they don't want, because basically they're not, the children are not going to want to. The women are not going to want to take care of these babies like they would take care of their actual children. So therefore, that child is going to get neglected. Or if they just hand the babies over to adoption and things like that, and they end up getting with some parents that don't treat them the correct way, they're going to grow up into a system where they end up incarcerated half the time because they're rebelling majority of the time.
And do you think that's a great point. This is what we're saying. And who's going to take care of them? What happens is these same people that are telling you to have these kids are going to be the first ones to throw these kids into foster care or into places where they're being bounced around or into jail, and then say, you know, they're thugs in the streets. These people are taking over the streets and da 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 da. That's something that it may develop into. These are options. These are things that have happened these are true stories that have happened in life. And that's the thing. If the country wants to force you to have these kids, they should be helping you assist these kids and placing them in the correct homes, maybe, or assist you in being able to aid these children, putting you in places where you are getting the psychological help, the financial help, having all the things that you need in your household to take care of the kids. So yes, these are all things that apply, but they don't see that. All they want to do is tell you to have this kid because it's a religious thing or because they want to continue to have control over a woman's body, letting a woman know her place. And that to me, and some of these people who are making these rulings, who are sitting in these seats, who are making these rulings, have been people who have had affairs with women and have brought them to get the procedures done, with women they have affairs with, to get the procedures done properly, so they don't have to deal with it. But yet they sit in these seats and tell you to ban abortion.
And so just real quick, I know this isn't what Mike was saying, and this isn't what we're saying, but I just want to make sure it's clear that we're not blanketing that, all of these women, this is a possibility of something that could happen. There are a lot of cases where women who couldn't get abortions still did what they had to do and raise strong, successful individuals. So just want to make sure we're not
absolutely, that's
out there.
And like I said, this conversation can go any route. That's why I say it's always a woman's choice. A woman, like you said, it could be that she just didn't have the money to take care of a kid and then pushed on to have the kid, and the kid became amazing, right? Yeah, these things happen, but I still think it should be a woman's choice. Like, in this go round of my life, I wouldn't get an abortion because I'm ready to be a mom. Whatever decision that I make, whether I'm in a moment where I have money or whatever the case may be, that's where I'm at in my life right now. Back then, I just knew that I could not because I didn't have it. I was literally not living in a home. I was homeless. I was all of that. There's so many decisions. There are so many conversations, but there are so many things that do happen. But it needs to be the woman's right. It needs to be the woman's decision. It needs to be her that is able to. And I've seen people who go into the abortion clinic turn around because they've changed their minds. This happens all the time, but it needs to be the woman's decision. That's what I feel. I should not be controlled by, white men in suits. Thank you, Mike.
I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. Thank you very much, man, Ms. Zora.
Yeah, thank you.
So we got one more caller. Ben's internet dropped. That's why hasn't been with us for the past 10, 15 minutes. But we got one more caller, Rebecca, if you want to take that, and then we can. I know we both have to leave early today, so we can probably wrap.
Yeah, we all have to leave today, it looks like. But let's take this last caller. Caller, you are on the line. What is your name, comment, and or question?
Hi, it's Jam Toom from Twitch. Hi, y'all. I hope you're well. I miss you, and I love y'all.
Hey, love you too. Hey, Twitch over there.
So I have to say a thing, because the one thing that we aren't talking about is what this is really about. And it's about to get spicy. Ben, take a deep breath. So if y'all look at the birth dearth back probably 30 or 40, maybe 60 years ago, I don't freaking remember the dates because my brain fog, they did a study showing that white numbers were dropping. Now, you can prove this by looking at the last census, okay, that this is what they're doing. They proved that white numbers were dropping and that they were going to drop and not be the majority anymore. So they decided that the best way to mitigate that was to eliminate abortion, because guess who actually gets the most abortions in this country? It's white women, because they want to carry your little white supremacist babies. They're done with that. So, little white boys, if you are tired of not being the majority and you are tired of being beat down and your little fragile egos just can't take the fact that nobody wants to sleep with you anymore, you better change your behavior. Stop being jerks. Also, one more thing. It's pregnant people. Not all of our siblings that carry babies are women. Oh, I know, spicy. But I love y'all so much. And I think it's very important that that part be told, because that's the thing we're not talking about. And that's the thing that is hurting BIPOC people most especially, because they love to spout our numbers that Native women get abortions and Black women get abortions. That is a distraction from the fact that they are trying to breed more little white babies. And let me just say the spiciest thing of all, from one of your little half-breeds, okay? One of your part people, one of your mixies. We don't want to be white. I don't care how pale my skin is. I will never identify with you or your hatred or your genocide. So if you want to be seen as better, do better.
Jammed, you brought it today. Thank you, Jammed.
Thank you. Love you too. No, she brought the spice, honey. She's the peppers, baby. I felt that. I felt the habanero.
Absolutely, people have abortions. That really does need to be.
Yeah, and this is something that we all have to work more
often.
This is something that we all have to work on as well. Like, we're learning every day. And pregnant people, that is a term that I will try my best to start utilizing, but I understand it. I definitely get it. It's like, why are they in our business? These white men.
Because
why are they in our
need
business?
more white babies. Because they want more white babies. And they think that if they force us to have them, that even us mixed people or BIPOC people will claim that they're white babies, or that they can claim they're white babies. We discussed this on Indigenous Peoples Day when we discussed the blood quantums. They are trying to blood quantum us out of existence.
I believe that. I believe that there are ways that they are moving to say that, this is America. I wouldn't be shocked, that could actually be true, that they want to continue to push for it to be more white, mostly white in this country. And they will bring people from other Europeans from other countries to start breeding their kids here too, so they can just be white across the line. And everybody else who are people who are already from here, they will try to whitewash all of it, as we can see Indigenous people, as we can see mixed people, as we can see that's what they'll do. That is what they'll do. It's just too much. It's too much. Thank you so much, Mama. Thank you so much, Jam. Thank you so much for calling in and bringing the heat. We are at the end of the show. This conversation can go on forever. Like I said, this conversation
hours.
Is multi-faceted. There's so many different ways to look at it. And even for the people who are, I like the people who are even calling in and saying, I'm not for abortion, but I do believe that it should be a woman's right. I understand that as well. There's so many people and sides and ways to look at this, but it all boils down to, it is the pregnant person's right, period. So, we at the end of it, baby. We at the end of it. So I love you guys so much. I know we're
gonna get out of here. Dwayne, do me a favor. As soon as we sign off, play X1 before you play a small music clip. It's Justice Sotomayor. We were supposed to play it earlier, and I just feel like it's a good tone to leave off on.
It better be, David, because if it's not, I'm going to get you in slack. I'm just kidding.
I very rarely slip up. Very rarely. Occasionally.
I'm out of here, though. You guys go ahead and, take a look at this clip by Justice Sotomayor. I never get her name right. I love her name, by the way, though. I do. But I need you guys to continue this conversation, to continue to push it. Let's continue to fight. Take a break if you need to. But I love you guys. Mean it. It's my Friday, I feel like. So, make it good. Play something nice after that commentary. But happy birthday to Bubba. Happy birthday
DJ
to Bubba.
Exclusive.
And his Cash App is DJX3C. Love you guys. Mwah.
The sponsors of this bill, the House bill in Mississippi, said we're doing it because we have new justices. The newest ban that Mississippi has put in place, the 6-week ban, the Senate sponsor said, we're doing it because we have new justices on the Supreme Court. will this institution survive the stench that this creates in the public perception that the Constitution and its reading are just political acts? I don't see how it is possible.
Change the scenery, yeah. Everybody smoking all the greenery, yeah. Close the match 'cause they were handed down to me, but I'm still fly, I know. I'm still fly, let's go. It could all be worse, I could be a hater like you. It could all be worse. Clothes to make the man, but that poison's gonna kill you. From the inside out. So right now, say it with your chest now, say it with your chest now. I'm young, I'm free, can't nobody take me here and now. It's my time to run it out. It's my time to ride it. I'm young, I'm free, can't nobody take me here and now. It's my time to run it out. It's my time to ride it out. It's your time. Oh. Cheers to all the haters, 'cause you proved to me that rising to the top was my destiny. And you can see whatever from behind me, but I'm still fly, I know. I'm still fly, let's go. It could all be worse, I could be a hater like you. It could all be worse. Clothes to make the man, but that poison's gonna kill you. From the inside out, it's time to say it with your chest now, say it with your chest now.